Okay, sir, thank you. Um, for the first slide, it's because of Zelfie is out of connection. So the first slide is going to explain with Anissa. To Anissa, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Gian. So I will explain about what is writing. So writing is a visual representation of speech. The writing itself represent or consists of units. There is morpheme, syllables, phonemes of the speech. So you can say that writing is a method of visually representing verbal communication. While both writing and speech are useful in conveying message, but writing differs in also being reliable form of information. So we can say that writing is a message does not rapidify. What is means that not rapidify? It means that when you forget the writing or write a message, you just need to read again the message, or you just need read again the writing message, then you will get the information that you have been looking for. So as you can see, like today, anyone can post information on the internet. So this is a visual method of writing, and based and the post on the internet, it based on a script and set of rules. So the information posted on the internet is a form of writing, which is consists of the three units that I have been told before, that is morpheme, syllables, and phoneme. So the next slide will be explained by Gian. To Gian, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Anissa. Um, okay, sir. Okay, everyone. So I would like to explain about the first until the fifth part of this material. For the first slide, I would like to explain about writing is secondary to speech and sign language. All right. When we talk about language, sometimes we mean speech or spoken language. Of course, speech is spoken and heard while writing is written and read. Writing is secondary to the other delivery systems of language, speech and sign. In a number of ways, writing is also secondary to speech in that humans have been taught speaking for a lot longer than they have been writing. About 200,000 years ago, people were speaking in ways similar to today. The first true writing is about 5,200 years ago. People were speaking in ways similar to today. Sorry. The first true writing is about 5,200 years old. Not only is it much more recent than speech, but perhaps it also has not been in existence long enough for natural selection to have selected for innate writing or reading skills. In addition, writing is secondary to speech in that everyone acquires speech naturally and quickly. Second is types of writing system. There are some types of writing system. The first is logographic writing or word writing. It is the oldest type of writing system. Logographic writing systems use symbols that represent a complete word or morpheme, which the symbols stand for a whole words or morphemes. For example, Chinese is one of a logographic script, but most languages also include logograms, such as numbers and the ampersand. Second is syllabic writing. In each symbol represents one syllable. The third is alphabetic writing. Each symbol ideally represents one specific phoneme. Or in other words, the writing system for a language is which there is a symbol for each consonant and vowel. Although it is a predominantly alphabetic system, English writing uses all three types of symbol. For example, the letter P is an alphabetic symbol that represents the collection of sounds, phonemically symbols like P. For instance, the symbols normally found on one of the rows of the typewriter on computer keyboard are logograms or ideograms. There are written symbols that represent a concept or word without indicating its pronunciation. The third is logographic writing. The use of logograms in writing is called logography, and a writing system and that is based on logograms is called a logography or logographic system. When the logogram resembles the thing that it is represent, it is called a pictograph of pictograph. A pictograph is a logographic symbol that is simplified picture-like representation of the thing it represents. Writing uses conventionalized symbols that may or may not look like what they represent. Second, symbols stand for linguistic units, and the order in which the logographic symbols are placed reflects the word order used in speech. Like the symbols, like the symbols in PPT would mean the man kills the deer. A fully logographic writing system would need tens or even hundreds of thousands of symbols and combinations of symbols. There would have to be a way of symbolizing each word in the language. This would present monumental problems in learning such a system. For this reason, it is more precise to label writing systems that are predominantly logographic as logophonetic that reverse to a writing system that uses predominantly logographic symbols, but also includes symbols or elements of the logographic symbol that represent sound. Most logophonetic systems combine logograms and syllabic representations and therefore are called logosyllabic. That reverse to a logophonetic system that includes both logographic and syllabic representation. The fourth is the rebus principle. According from the source I've researched on internet and the textbook, the rebus principle is the use of existing symbols, such as pictograms, purely for their sounds regardless of their meaning, to represent new words. Many ancient writing systems used the rebus principle to represent abstract words, which otherwise would be hard to represent with pictograms. The most important step in the development of writing was the invention of symbols that had conventional meaning. Perhaps the second most important step was when some one of those symbols came to represent not words but sounds. Once this phonetization, the process whereby logographic symbols come to represent sound of symbol occurred, the symbols could be used in all words that contained the sound they presented. For example, be and the hat. They have be and they have had. That pictograms is become be had, as you can see on page 290. So, implying symbols that once stood for one syllable words as syllables or not words is called the rebus principle. For example, Chinese is an example of logosyllabic writing. Chinese is the most logographic of modern writing system. However, it also employs syllabic symbols and recently alphabetic symbols. Next, we are going to talk about syllabic writing. For the fifth part, the last part of mine. Unlike the logographic systems, each symbol in a syllabic writing system has a specific phonemic value. Or in other words, a syllabic writing system is a writing system in which characters represent syllables and are combined to indicate phonemes. Most commonly, syllabic writing system only allow vowel or consonant-vowel syllabic structure. English also has some syllabic symbols. For instance, some people spell barbecue in the abbreviated form bar, B, and Q. In this form, the second B stands for the syllable B, sometimes pronounced B, and Q for the syllables log and Q for the syllable. Logographic symbols do not tell us how words are pronounced, but syllabic symbols do. Because there are always a smaller number of syllables in a language than there are words or phonemes, syllabic writing will have fewer symbols than logographic writing. The Japanese borrowed Chinese characters called kanji, but found that these characters did not always fit well with their language. Chinese is a non-inflecting language or language with no inflection for moms. It does not have grammatical markers for verb and noun change. Japanese is an ideal language for syllabic writing. Japanese words are composed mostly of sequence of syllables that take the shape CV, or a single consonant followed by a single vowel. In addition to the 46 combinations of a consonant and a vowel, there are some syllables that are made up of a consonant followed by a sound then a vowel, such as in the word Tokyo, which in Japanese is pronounced To-o-kyo. I think that's all for me. The next part it's going to discuss with Anissa Atika. To Anissa Atika, we'll explain about alphabetic writing, spelling, and speech. Is English is spelling so bad, and writing's influence on speech? To Anissa Atika, time is yours.
Right, thank you, Gian. So I will explain about alphabetic writing. So in alphabetic writing, there are graphemes or alphabetic symbols. These graphemes, each grapheme stand for one specific phoneme. So there is no practical reason for every sound that is produced orally to be represented alphabetically. Like in this slide, you can see sound T. This is a phoneme because phoneme, as we can know, is the smallest unit of sounds. So in sound T, this is a phoneme. But when you write the letter T, this T is a grapheme. So this grapheme, there are 26 grapheme in English, 36 grapheme in Russian, and 22 grapheme in Hebrew. So this grapheme generally represent only one phoneme. So however, many letters actually can stand for numerous phonemes. So we come to the example. In the word below, the letter CH represent the key in sound chemist. So in this word chemist, but the word written in here is chemist, but when we become the sound, it's become chemist. It also with sh sound in self, it will be sound self because the writing in here is ch, but when become the sound, it will become c, self. And also give you another example is the letter OW when becomes snow, it will be OA sound. So OA in here, it becomes snow. And also now it will become UO in sound. So the next is spelling and speech. Speech changes faster than alphabetic writing. Why? because we cannot speak to them, we cannot speak to the alphabetic writing, or we cannot speak to the changes. And with this change, people in 15th and 16th centuries were changing many English spelling, but the spelling was changed according to where the spell come from. Example, the spelling English come from Latin, then the word that in English will become depth in Latin. Even though the word, even though the B in this word are not pronounced in English. So in the word that in English become that in Latin with at the B, even though the B is not pronounced in English. Then in the following years, the reformers Theodore Roosevelt tried to bring the spelling English that have been changed before to Latin, that had tried to bring the English spelling before to the English phoneme. He tried to combine the letters that were not pronounced, such as the word like this word, like light become light. So the GH in here is not pronounced. So it become night, become the night. So the Theodore Sulfur try to bring the spelling that has not pronounced before. And today, many more manufacturers, advertisers, and shop owners are using the shortened spelling of such words as lit, light, and bright. It's become same as like and light and night. So many people today are using this word into the advertised shop owners or something like that. Okay, we come to the English. Is English spelling so bad? If the alphabet principle was followed more exactly, then we will understood faster and easily, because we only uh, we only speak as written like this, night or night. When this written night, many people say it will be night, or light can be light. Zeus can be Zeus. Maths or can be maths. So this is included by phoneme because the final consonant in maths and Zeus are different phonemes. Like this, Zeus in the last of the word used as, but when we add the phoneme, it will become Zeus with the last word with Z. It also maths or maths. When we add phoneme, it will become maths. Or the letter S used at the end of the noun indicate only grammatical distinction plurally. So regardless of the context, the different shapes of writing words, not only how they are pronounced. So this is give a direct indication of the meaning of the word. Okay, we come to the homophones. In English writing, we also have to understand the meaning of the context, such as homophone is the word that sound the same and different in meaning and spelling. So we can see this example, by and by. It's also homograph, words that differ in meaning are spelled the same. Mike or Mike is spelled the same, but it's same meaning. But in the rose means a flower, and the rose means got up, are the homograph because they are pronounced the same, but different in meaning. But homonyms are the words that differ in meaning and pronounced the same. So like word rose and rose, There are rose a flower and rose got up is different in meaning, but pronounced same. But heteronyms are homographs that are not pronounced the same, such as the word tear. It's meant water on the eye and tear to rip. All right, we come to the writing's influence on speech. Writing has a conservative effects on pronunciation that T in often was at one time never pronounced. So T in here is silence. Like today, many people say this word is often. This presence of the T in the writing form has influenced its oral forms. Only T is a phoneme, so it's called spelling pronunciation. So spelling pronunciation is the process by which a word is pronounced as it spells. Even if the pronunciation was not the original intent pronunciation, this often occurs Freudian word that enter language. That spelling in Germany, the word Nettertal in Germany, but in English, the word Netterdal will be spelled with the TH. So in German, we'll say Nettertal without the TH. Because in English, the pronunciation spelled. So the Nettertal in Germany will become Nettertal in English. So with a th on the final syllables, and the word will be Nettertal, but in German will be Nettertal. All right. I think that's all from me. The next slide will be explained by Zelfi. To Zelfi, time is yours.
Thank you, Nisa. Okay, for the next material, I will explain about writing speech and hypothesis, the printing press, and a few words about computers. For the next slide, please. Writing, okay. Writing and speech for further consideration. We have already mentioned that writing systems are more conservative than spoken systems. This is understandable. We acquire speech informally from our verbal environment. Parents and teachers who are concerned with prescriptive rules of correctness formally teach writing to us. As a result, people tend to write more formally and carefully than they speak. There is usually more time to prepare a written communication than a spoken message. For example, another way in which writing differs from speech is in writing's inability to completely represent the suprasegmental aspect of speech. Here we can see the example is, when is he coming to your house? However, a native speaker would not say and pause between each word. The speaker would say something like, when is he coming to your house? And punctuation, such as the question mark in the above sentence, and the capitalization aid in indicating intonation and rhythm. Okay. An advantage to writing is that complex passages can be reread as often as needed. In this mean is when you writing some word, you can reread as often you can read. For this reason, written forms are often more syntactically complex than spoken forms. A native speaker of English would seldom utter a sentence like, the car that my brother who is all business boat is Gus Gosler. If heard, this sentence might sound ungrammatical and confusing. However, in written form, although perhaps bad statistically, the sentence is understandable. Writing and speech are related but different systems. Writing represents the words of spoken language, although it doesn't differentiate the separate morphemes. Okay, the next slide, please.
Next, I explain about hypotheses on what led to true writing systems. As alphabetic writing represents the result of numerous earlier developments. The first one is non-written visual communication. The urge to communicate by means other than speech has been apparent in the archaeological record for thousands of years. Some drawings of painted images which are meant to communicate are descriptive representative. Some drawn or painted images which are meant to communicate are descriptive representative. A descriptive representative is the depiction has a lifelike emblematic relationship to what it represents. They tell stories, and many modern road signs do a similar thing. A sign showing falling rocks tell us of this possible roadway is danger. Other visual representations do not tell stories. These visual aids are meant to identify or remind the viewer of a specific person, event, song, legend, or trail, or are issued to make calculation, such as devices are said to be in identifying mnemonic. Identifying mnemonic representation are visual aids that are used to make calculation or are meant to identify or remind the viewer of a specific person, event, song, legend, or trail. Next slide, please. Okay, number 2 is two views on the origin and development of writing. Most linguistics and historians believe that more general representations in the identifying mnemonic category led to writing. Many scholars deny a direct link between any of these early visual representations and writing. Instead of a concert to abstract development for writing, they believe that writing had its original roots in already highly abstract symbols. From the time of the earliest cave paintings, people were making dots, lines, and various other abstract marks on or near the painting. Here we can see the picture of clay tokens. For the clay tokens, if it is something like to indicate dot or something can numerous. If there were 10 ship tokens and 5 code tokens, then this would be the expected number of animals in the shipment. Subsequently, the tokens were stamped on the outside surface of the envelopes before being enclosed inside. Next slide, please. Number 3, a brief outline of the history of true writing. Whether the ultimate origin of writing was in realistic pictures and or abstract symbols. It is an established fact that writing systems were in use in Sumer by 5,100 years ago. This earliest form of writing already included syllabic and consonant symbols alongside logograms. For instance, beginning in the middle of the second millennium BCA, Semitic peoples such as the Ugarians, the Phoenicians, and the Hebrews development Egyptian logophonetic writing into various syllabic systems. Some linguistics collectively refer to these systems as the Northern Semitic syllabary. The Northern Semitic syllabary is a group of primarily syllabic writing systems developed by Semitic peoples from earlier logophonetic system. For the first fully alphabetic is invented by the Greeks. In fact, the word alphabet is derived from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta. Okay, some researchers claim independent origin for all X logosyllabic system. Others make an argument for monogenesis. They see true writing developing somewhere in Western world and the diffusing or transferring to other areas through direct or indirect contact. The forms of early writing systems are said to differ greatly because often only the idea of writing diffused, not the actual form of the writing system. The next slide, please. Number 4 is a survey of ancient and modern script. Cuneiform writing was made by using a wedge shapes as stylus pressed into soft clay. This type of writing was developed about 5,000 years ago and was used by the Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, Eretrians, Hitters, and Elamites. This name is uh, okay. Hier- hier- hiero- Hieroglyphic means cat carving. This name is derived from the fact that priests use hieroglyphic. Okay, for in addition, the earliest New World writing dates to about 3000 BP. It is Olmec writing from southern Mexico. The script is on the slab of stone called the Cascacal block. It is contained 28 symbols. Many cuneiform symbols developed from the repetition of early Sumerian pictograms, which were then converted into a series of linear strokes. Cuneiform was written in a horizontal manner, uniform script or logosyllabic. Okay, the next I will explain about the printing press. The scrolls in the Library of Alexandria, Egypt, were made by hand. In Europe, artists 32,000 years ago produced pictures of women and incomplete animal figures deeply grooved into boulders. Also, at about the time, in places such as Grotto Chevet and the Lascaux caves in France, artists painted beautiful shaded and colored animals, which were often outlined in black. The mass production of writing became possible with the invention of the printing press. The first press didn't have movable type. Blocks and wood were hand carved and with illustration and small amounts of carved text. This was an improvement over making a limited numbers of copies by hand. The blocks once prepared could be used to make multiple copies. However, the process of hand carving each page was extremely time-consuming and labor-intensive. The first book made in this way came from China and was called the Diamond Sutra. Okay, I will read about the conclusion of our material. The, signific- the significance of writing rests on the fact that it doesn't fade rapidly as speech does. Writing allows for the persistence of messages and the geometric accumulation. No writing system uses only one type of symbol. However, most modern writing systems are predominantly alphabetic or phonemic. Some researchers believe that writing developed from already abstract symbol, not from pictures. Okay, that's all for our presentation. Do you have any question to all my friends?
Now we are in discussion session. Please ask question or give comment, or you may add some information if there are some misinformation. Okay, Izam.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask question. Human speaks long away before writing had found. Do you guys think after writing had found, it also changed the way humans speak, or the language remains the same and the writing is adapted to the language that has been used before? Because there are so many differences between the speech and the spelling in English language. That is my question.
Please write the question on the slide, at the end of the slide. The name and the questions.
All right, sir.
Show us the slide.
Okay. Are there anyone want to ask question or add some statement?
Show us the slide, Jan.
Right, sir.
Nisa, can you do share screen and write the question on slide?
Yes.
Other question, please.
All right, while waiting for the other question, I would like to answer about Izam Zulfa question that human speaks long way before writing had found. Do you guys think after writing had found, it also changed the way humans speak, or the language remains the same and writing adapted to the language that has been used before? Okay, Izam, um, at the last PPT or like Anissa PPT, Anissa slide that has been explained about the English spelling and writing. Okay, the writing is also influenced on speech, or the writing is also influenced by language. And as you can see on that PPT, there are homograph, hoponyms, heteronyms, and homonyms that can difference by language. That you can different language by writing, that the writing is not the same by language. Like the spelling is not the same as the language at all. So it can be different, and the language and writing can influence the language, and the language can influence the writing too. I hope you can understand, Izam.
All right, thank you again.
All right, Izam. Is there another question for our group? Okay, Tari.
Alright, thank you for I would like to ask about there are so many language in another country. So what language has the most? Okay.
Tari, can you repeat the question?
Thank you. Okay, I repeat again. What language has the most writing system?
Okay. Thank you for your question, Tari. I will answer your question. What language has the most writing system? I think Chinese is the most has the most writing systems. In my slide, Chinese characters are used in Chinese, Japanese, and Korean writing. Chinese script has been used continuously with only minor alterations for about 4,000 years. This makes it the oldest script still in use today. And then the Chinese will um, become a Japanese or Korean as like Romaji, Kana, and Kanji. Romaji uses Roman type characters and is used for such things as trademarks and sub-advertising. And for Kanji is made up for Chinese type logograms. That's my answer.
All right, thank you for the explanation.
All right, if there are no other questions, so that's all for our group. Thank you for having us to explain these materials. Next, we are going to wait about for the explanation for from Pak Zaim. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam
Thank
warahmatullahi
you.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Zelfi, Anissa, and Ian. Yeah, that's a good explanation. But I think you can give more illustration about the sample of logographic, syllabic, and alphabetic. Yeah, because there are many illustration in the textbook, so you can copy the illustration actually. The example of Chinese, Japanese, and for syllabic writing and some other illustration. But that's good explanation. So please make the more complete slide, yeah, by giving illustration in your slide. I have no more explanation. I think everything is clear. So what you have to do now is to do exercise. I'll send in the email the exercise for this week, and then please submit the exercise before we discuss next week. I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Have
sir.
a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
You can stop recording.
Okay, sir.